Alright, so let me do a quick explanation of editing vertex normals. So I've got an empty scene here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, we'll do a cube, and just for shits and giggles I will make it slightly more complex. So let's just inset this and extrude that. So here's our shape. Right now it's flat shaded, and I've got, some ambient occlusion and stuff on just to look fancy. But you see how you have this regular flat shaded look, and then if we go ahead and I'm going to keep this for later, and I'll move it to another layer. And then I'm going to copy it and move that back. And then what I'll do is I'll take this and I'll change it to smooth. And then I'll grab some edges and I'm going to bevel them. And so what I'm going to do is, because I'm trying to make, say, a nice low poly object, I'm only going to give them a single face bevel. And so now you see, well, it doesn't look too bad on these faces. Unlike our flat shaded version, you have this sort of gradient caused by the lighting, and I might have a different lighting that'll look a little better here. Okay, yeah, that makes it a little more evident. So you can see, like, on here you got some gradienting, and then here you got gradienting. And so what we want to do is we want to edit the vertex normals to remove that gradienting so that you only see a shading transition on the bevel. And there are a couple ways you would normally do that. So let's say if we took another copy of our object here, and I'll move it to this layer. So if I took this one and I grabbed all the edges, sorry, I'm not too quick with this. Alright, looks like everything. So if I took this one and then I beveled this again, but this time I added like 2, 3, or 4. So now you see that we have no, or at least greatly reduced the gradients on each of the sides, but you get this really smooth, in fact I'll just do that, you get this really smooth, sharp look on the corners. So what we're going to do is we're going to make this object look a lot more like this by copying normals from this. So let me turn on our normals here. Where is that at? Display, I think? No? Do I have to be in edit mode? No, there it is. Okay. So let's turn on our vertex normals. I think that shows on all of them, right? No, it doesn't. Okay. Alright, let's turn on vertex normals. And we'll increase them a little bit there. Alright, so you'll see how on each of these little corners, the normals for each of these faces are pointed diagonally, which means that, like, each edge of this face is kind of angled in the way it receives light. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this one, let's call this flat cube, and let's call this one, let's call this one target cube, and just for consistency we'll call this one comparison cube. So what we're going to do is we're going to add a modifier on this one, and I'll use the data transfer because, like I said, I find that a lot more useful. And so our source object is going to be the flat cube, and we want face corner data, and we want custom normals. And we don't want to evaluate it in object space. So, nearest corner and best matching face normal. I think should be nearest corner of nearest face. No, topology. Mix mode replace. Is that not doing it? Wait. Where'd my modifier go? Did I put it on the wrong thing? Oh, I put it on this one. Whoops. Okay. I'm stupid. Sorry about that. Okay. Data transfer. Flat cube. Face corner data. Custom normals. I have to enable auto smooth. Almost forgot. Okay. So you can see we've already got some very different thing going here. But that is not quite what we were trying to do. There we go. Well, even that's a little bit rough. Well, let's see. Let's look at our normals. Which it is not showing for some reason. Oh, I have to do it here, like, I think. No? Why does that not show? Do I have to apply it? Why is that not? Oh, there we go. It's vertex per face. Sorry about that. Okay. So I guess vertex normals is not the lighted ones. You want vertex per face. Okay, so now if we look at this, even if I go back, I think, to where I have my modifier. No? There it is. Okay. Yeah. Alright, so now we look at the vertex per face normals. No, that's still... Okay. Well, Blender's a jerk, I guess. So let's go ahead and apply this so that we can see them. Okay, so now if you look, instead of our other normals, in fact, that's actually good because now we can compare them. So you have the blue ones. These are your original normals. Like the vertex per face normals would have been the same before the modifier. And just to try and prove that, let's go back again and disable that. Yeah, so these are the normals that are the same, and that causes the sort of gradiented shading. And then if we show those, now we can see our vertex per face normals change. There we go. So that each face is pointed only in one direction. So no longer are the corners of each face tilted a bit. They're pointed straight in one way. We get rid of all that gradienting, and on the corners here we get this very smooth transition, which looks a lot closer to this. So let's just kind of drag this out. So it looks a lot closer to that than the original one, which we can go ahead and see if I can reset the normals on this, maybe. I think if I just hit smooth, I have to go here. No. Oh, how do I, can I not reset the normals here? I guess not. Well, let's see if I can, well, anyway, you saw the original cube. But you can see how this looks a lot closer to that while using much less geometry. So if I go here and turn on wireframe, yeah, much less geometry, incredibly similar shading result. And you can do all kinds of other stuff like this. One of the things I like to do is say you want to, I mean, I guess there's not a lot of reasons to use it when making regular games, but I do a lot of virtual world work. And for example, in Second Life, you can only have 8 faces on an object. So if you want to make an object with multiple faces, you can kind of blend multiple objects together to get rid of that. It's used a lot in foliage in games when you have trees that are made of several planes kind of scattered in a thing. You can shade them so that they're shaded a bit like a sphere or the shape of the tree that you're going for. But yeah, it's super useful. The other useful thing about that is, say you wanted to do some normal map baking. Instead of baking out from an entire high poly, and you'll kind of get, because of the default gradiented look, like if I smooth this out, because you get this, like when it projects your normals onto it, it's projecting in this direction, and then it kind of fans out. Because you're getting rid of that with the vertex normals in this case, anything that's projected from this surface is projected perfectly flat. So you could, instead of creating an entire high poly object, if you just wanted, say, I don't know, like a vent projected on the top of this cube, you would just go ahead and build that. You know, you can create a plane and then like create your sort of greeble here. So like you would inset your face and extrude it down, and then copy a bit and rotate it and create your vents, you know, like that. And then when you project this, it's going to project exactly what you see like this onto that normal map instead of getting a weird gradient. And it allows you to make, you know, a bunch of stock greebles that you can apply to any normal map and get the effect you're going for, rather than having these weird gradients that can mess with that, and you have to use, you know, fancy overlay modes and whatnot. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling. I just thought I would go through quickly and show you how that worked and why you would use them. I hope that helped. Thanks for watching.